Aloha and good afternoon. We begin with some new news just into our newsroom. Charges have been filed against 2 Oahu residents in the recent death of a monk seal pup on Oahu's North Shore. NOAA Fisheries announced the charges Thursday against Leslie Mickerson and James Armstrong Lyman. Officials say they were jointly assessed a $20,000 civil penalty. The death of the monk seal pup happened back in May when their unleashed dog attacked the young mammal referred to as P07. DLNR also confirmed that McAfferson is an employee of the Division of State Parks, saying they were an interpretive technician and were not on duty at the time. DLNR had no further comment.
Also new at noon, 3 former governors are getting involved in what's expected to be a high-profile state Senate race. Governors John Waihee, Ben Cayetano, and Neil Abercrombie are serving as honorary campaign chairs for Clayton He, a former state legislator and OHA trustee. Now, he is running for the 23rd Senate District, which covers Kaneohe, Mokuleia to Wahiawa, and is likely to challenge first-term Republican Senator and former TV news anchor Brenton Awa in the general election. Now, we're going to have much more on this story, including reaction from Awa, coming up on later editions of HNN. And now to the latest on that power outage in downtown Honolulu. At last check, 600 customers are still in the dark. Repair efforts were delayed again after a so-called arc flash occurred last night during work inside a manhole. And HECO executives have called a 2 p.m. press conference for today.
More heartbreak here in Chinatown, and just for a relatively small area, but a lot of customers. You know, as we have been down here, the situation's been changing. Different traffic lights come on, they go off. Here at Bethel and King, where we were throughout the morning, the traffic lights off. Just across the way, some of these downtown banks may be difficult to make out, but you can see some of those fluorescent lights. So those buildings have power. A lot of those folks are back to work. But this is the really difficult part of all this, because it's not always easy to determine what part of Chinatown, what part of downtown still has power. It's difficult for those employers, those businesses, to communicate whether or not their staff need to come in. And as you can imagine, for a lot of the businesses, the restaurants, the bars, those places that depend on product that's refrigerated, this has been an absolute mess. So here's what we know about what happened late last night as they were beginning to restore power for the last few hundred customers in this downtown area. A fire in a manhole broke out. Those high voltage wires. Luckily, the HECO workers that have been down in those manholes working on this, they were uninjured during all this. There was an arc flash. Luckily, that arc flash was smothered by a special heat-resistant blanket that the crews used to cover those cables. And while the equipment, the cables themselves were heavily damaged, again, no one was hurt, and we're grateful for that. Now, as they got that fire under control, shut the power off, the crews began investigating the cause of the arc flash, and that may have occurred in a splice connecting 2 high voltage cables. Repairs are still continuing, and of course, they earlier this morning gave us the mid-morning timeline for some of the businesses, some of the area to come back online, but this really knocked out power for some 3,000 customers. And again, as we've been talking about, that is what is so frustrating for some of these businesses that have been without power for several days now, trying to determine whether or not they should tell their staff to be ready to come back to work, buying products so they can open up the restaurant to serve the food. But what we have seen is really an outpouring of support for those local businesses, and those local businesses posting themselves on social media, asking people to please come out as soon as the power back on, as soon as things are restored and back to normal in some sense, to support your favorite local restaurant. Come out to your favorite bar this weekend and really help them kind of weather this storm, because as we've been reporting, they are able to file claims with HECO, but that can be a messy and long process, so they do need your support. Of course, we're going to be continuing to monitor this situation. We will bring you the very latest on your phone, on those push alerts from Hawaii News Now, as well as all of our digital platforms. You can find the latest at hawaiinewsnow.com. For now, we'll send things back into the studio.
Also making headlines this week were cyber attacks that targeted the city's transportation system, along with the healthcare on Maui. I spoke with our Mahealani Richardson for more. Now, Mahea, you've been following these hacks, these outages, and what can you tell us so far? Recap it for us.
Well, right now we are on day 6 The Oahu Transit Services online outage. And what we've learned from a group, it's a cybersecurity firm based in India called Falcon Feeds. They have said that OTS was attacked by cyber criminals. And this group is called Dragon Force, and it's out of Malaysia. And there was a ransomware attack where they had 14 days to pay a ransom. Now, the city says that OTS has not paid any ransom, and it's their policy not to, but it's very disturbing to hear this sort of information. And at this point, we do know that HPD and the FBI are investigating, but all that the city would say is that it was a cyber breach. Now, we did see actual information from that breach, according to Falcon Feeds, where I saw, Dylan, a spreadsheet of people's names, addresses, their personal information like ID numbers, and whether they had a handy van or a bus card. So very surprising.
Now, for people who may not utilize the bus or the handy van, why is this still so alarming? Why should we all be concerned about this?
Well, these attacks are part of a broader group of cyber criminals. And just the other day, last month, there was a shutdown of a health center in Maui, in Wailuku, called Malama Ikeola. And this health center was shut down because of what it called IT security issues. But according to Falcon Feeds, which monitors the dark web and sees these cyber criminals, it says that they too were attacked and held under ransomware. And supposedly, according to Falcon Feeds, there was a ransom deadline by yesterday. Now, Malama Ikeola would not confirm any sort of attack, but said that if its patient information is compromised, they will let them know.
Now, Mahea, how, to have a city services and also a hospital on Maui to both be facing some sort of cyber attack, how unfounded is this?
Well, it's actually a lot more common now these days. Cyber criminals, what they do, according to Falcon Feeds, is they go into the system and they hold data hostage. And that's where the ransomware comes out. And that's where there's this negotiation. Now, according to experts, a ransom is not necessarily a large amount of money. It could be a smaller amount of money. And what they do is they target organizations from very large organizations to small organizations, rural companies, anywhere they see a vulnerability, and they hold that information at ransom. And what they do is that then they negotiate with insurance companies for some sort of payment.
So really, everyone could be at risk here, and at the end of it all, determining who pays and what pays could impact the broader community. And I also want to ask, too, you've been talking to the experts in cybersecurity. What can people do to protect themselves?
Well, Dylan, we hear it inside Hawaii News Now from our own IT specialists, and they repeatedly say, do not click on suspicious links. And that's what these international cybersecurity experts are telling us as well, is that if you get an email and there's a suspicious link, don't click on it and notify your management right away. Another thing that they say is that many of these organizations are vulnerable because of lack of training on the staff and because computer systems, are not regularly updated. And these are things that we constantly hear, but cyber experts say we need to be vigilant and we need to pay attention.
And last question for you, going back to the handy van and the bus, you mentioned that it's against policy for them to pay a ransom, but at this point, what can they do?
Well, what Roger Morton of the city has said is that they are right now scrubbing all computers because somehow there was a cyber breach. And so what they need to do is go computer by computer to make sure that each computer system doesn't have a virus. Also, what happened on Saturday, because computer systems are down, their GPS system is down, what they did is they shut off all internet connection to the outside world. So I guess no more viruses could get in. And so it's a very lengthy process. Again, Dylan, we are on day 6 of the shutdown of the bus and handy van online systems.
Our Mahealani Richardson keeping a close eye on these cyber attacks. We'll bring you the latest details on air and online as we get them. Mahealani, thank you so much. Police have arrested a man accused of stabbing a Walmart employee and threatening to kill a security guard. 33-year-old Kealoha Tapu is suspected of threatening the guards Saturday night while holding a knife near Ala Moana Beach Park. Then about 2 hours later, Tapu allegedly tried to rob a man near the Ke'eaumoku Walmart and stabbed him in the chest.
Video surveillance and evidence confirm that the suspect in both the TT first case and the attempted murder case are the same male.
Attempted murder and terroristic threatening charges are pending. Police say the 32-year-old stabbing victim remains in critical condition. HPD has also identified Josiah Wayland Vieira as the man who allegedly led police on a chase from leeward Oahu to the windward side on Tuesday. The 26-year-old is accused of robbing someone in Nanakuli, then stealing the victim's car and fleeing from officers. Before crashing in Kaneohe, Vieira now faces charges of robbery, terroristic threatening, criminal property damage, and auto theft.
Donald Sutherland, the influential actor who graced film and television screens across multiple decades, has died. The Canadian-born actor rose to fame in the late 1960s and early 70s with film roles in The Dirty Dozen and MASH. Sutherland's eclectic career spanned from dramatic thrillers like JFK to the classic comedy Animal House. More recently, Sutherland brought the Hunger Games villain President Snow to life on the big screen. Kiefer Sutherland announced his father's death in a post on social media today. He apparently died in Miami after a long illness. He was 88 years old. The death toll in fire-devastated New Mexico has risen, and rains from Tropical Depression Alberto threaten to add to the weather woes in that state. Laura Aguirre has the latest.
Rain is good for putting out fire. The rain is not good for pretty much everything else.
Definitely not good for miles of fire-scorched earth in New Mexico, where heavy rains have turned wildfire-ravaged roads and towns into flood and mudslide zones, which could worsen as Tropical Depression Alberto threatens rain for the state on Friday.
We're unsure about the direction of the fire at this point.
Two massive blazes continue to burn with little to no containment, leaving at least 1,400 structures destroyed so far. The human toll also growing more tragic. The son of a man found dead in Ruidoso Tuesday says his father's broken leg prevented his escape.
It's heartbreaking to know that he didn't make it, to know that he was trying to run for his life.
The National Hurricane Center says Alberto will start to lose some of its punch now that it's tracking through central Mexico. Still, its impact along the Texas coast has yet to subside. 51 counties there are under a disaster declaration. Corpus Christi reported a 3.5-foot storm surge Thursday morning, and water levels are expected to rise even more with high tide. And it's yet another scorcher for much of the Midwest and Northeast. The National Weather Service predicts extreme temperatures could persist into the weekend, potentially reaching 100 degrees in cities like Washington, D.C., a mark not seen there since August of 2016. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken is set to meet with Israeli officials today, and this comes as tensions between Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Biden White House continue to rise over the delivery of weapons and munitions to the U.S. ally. Chris Pallone has more.
Amid increasing tensions between the U.S. and Israel over the war in Gaza, a meeting between Secretary of State Antony Blinken and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan with two top Israeli officials in Washington. Growing private disagreements spilled into the open this week when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused the U.S. of withholding military support in a social media video.
It's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally.
The administration has responded sharply.
I'm not exactly sure what the Prime Minister is talking about or what he was trying to accomplish. Our commitment to Israel's security is sacrosanct. We have proved that not just with words, but with deeds.
The U.S. says one shipment of 2,000-pound bombs to Israel is under review, but all other military aid is flowing normally. With Netanyahu scheduled to address Congress next month, some Democrats are questioning the Israeli leader's motive for speaking out against his country's closest ally.
The video he released the other day suggests that he's coming to the United States to pick a fight, not to try to heal wounds. What I care about is Israel's security. I don't really care about Benjamin Netanyahu's political fortunes.
The war of words coming as the humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate.
It's a perfect storm of really difficult circumstances.
Desperately needed aid piling up in Gaza's ports, workers unable to deliver it because of the danger. Prime Minister Netanyahu called White House statements about his video this week personal attacks. He said he's willing to endure them as long as Israel gets the ammunition it needs. In Washington, Chris Pallone, NBC News.
Honolulu's mayor is expected to sign off on a new ban on gifts for all city employees. This comes after a bribery scandal led to the convictions of 5 former workers at the Planning and Permitting Department. The new ban would apply to even small gifts from people trying to get an advantage with the city.
People such as city contractors, city concessionaires, vendors, grant recipients, all those folks are automatically prohibited, which means that city officers and employees cannot receive gifts from them. They cannot solicit gifts from these people. So that was a huge win for the commission.
The Ethics Commission was briefed on Bill 23 because it will be responsible for fining city employees who accept gifts.
Let's send you live outside. Ashley, can you guess what city this is?
Oh, somewhere in the Midwest.
How about Des Moines, Iowa?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day there.
Sure is.
83 degrees. Stay with us here. After this short break, we will have a look at your local forecasts and more news. We'll be right back.
How's it on this Thursday? Today is the start of summer. The summer solstice is today, starts just before 11 a.m. Hawaii time. The weather's not going to change in any significant way, however. Still going to be a little bit windy, and we'll have these stray showers. You can see them, mainly for a handful of windward spots this morning. Leeward sides are drier, and leeward sides might pick up a few minor splashes because of these breezy winds. Now, the winds are expected to step up a notch by tomorrow and hold at breezy levels through the weekend into the first few days of next week as well. So get used to this. This is what we'll see. We'll start out a little cloudy, a little damp, mainly for windward areas, drier by lunchtime, especially for leeward sides, with partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies in the afternoon. Trade winds running about 15 to 25. High temperatures climbing into the upper 80s. So you'll feel summertime temperatures for the next couple of months at least. And as far as the surf, well, it's fairly small out there, but because of those increasing trade winds, look for that rising east swell at 3 to 5 feet. A minor boost is expected into the North Shore, mostly because of those wind swells too. So your next 7 days, looks the same almost every day. We've got breezy winds through the time period, maybe slightly stronger on Friday. And also on Friday, look for a few more windward and Mauka showers, actually starting in tonight. We're still not expecting a lot of rain. Plus, too, with these breezy winds, whatever rain comes in will be moving out quickly. And with all the sunshine, high temperatures getting into the upper 80s.
Maui first responders who helped rescue animals during the August wildfires are now helping them find new homes. Our Chelsea Davis has this story.
There you go, right there, Roman.
It's not your typical photo shoot.
Yeah, good stance. Right there. Amazing, looking good. That's good too. There you go.
This one involves Maui firefighters, lifeguards, and four-legged friends that were rescued from the burn zone.
As firemen, we were initially hesitant when told we got to do a photo shoot, but given that it's for the community and we are servants of the community, so we wanted to give back, and everybody jumped at the chance to do this.
Aww. Every year, the Maui Humane Society gives the public the chance to pick 12 photos that'll earn coveted spots in its highly anticipated 2025 calendar. But for this contest, the organization's partnering with the Hawaii Firefighters Association and the Hawaii Government Employees Association to help show off these furry supermodels.
We're told that the Humane Society needed help with a fundraiser, so I just thought it was a good thing to come out and help them raise some money, especially after the wildfires.
Really wanted to shine a positive light on the relationship that we built with the fire department during the fire response. They were amazing, and they continue to be amazing in supporting Maui Humane Society. They were out there for so long and they worked so hard, and we were so thankful to everything they did.
Roman was rescued from Front Street just 2 days after the inferno. He had severe burns all over his body. Today, he's permanently scarred, but the sweetest boy, and has since been reunited with his owners.
He came in the day after the fire. He gave us hope that there were other animals that we could rescue, and so that was amazing.
So come August, pick your favorite hero and furry friend pair. It's $1 a vote, with all money going to the Maui Humane Society and its efforts to help homeless pets. Details are on HawaiiNewsNow.com. Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
Three new pop-up science exhibits are now open at Kamakana Ali'i. They were launched by Kaulele, a program that inspires learning through Native Hawaiian science. Casey Lund takes us there.
Welcome to Kaulele, this really special place from In Peace, a nonprofit that's celebrating its 30th year anniversary, by the way, this year. And this is the latest exhibit. They started with the Kappa exhibit in 2021. We've showed you earlier today the Mahina exhibit here, but this is Local Ia. This is a study of fish ponds, the ecosystems, the food chains. Alakai Aglipe is with us this morning. Today we're talking about this new exhibit. You guys have a little celebration before we get into what's here. That's today at 4 p.m., correct?
Yes, so we have our launch this afternoon from 4 to 7, where we'll be having prizes and giveaways and just announcing our newest exhibit.
Talk to me a little bit about this exhibit. I mean, from just the infographics to display to over here, we're going to show people you can do what? Build your own rock wall, right?
Yeah, so you can build your own kuopao. We got to work with Auntie Roxy Kili Kipi Kane o Kolohaka in really providing all the content and the practice for this exhibit.
We talked to your Chief Executive Officer for In Peace, Maile, who really was a visionary for Kaulele, bringing this to fruition because she raised her children on the continent. She didn't have I would say out there, she was able to see those discovery centers, science centers, things that I grew up with, but they didn't really have that kind of here in Hawaii, especially focused on Native Hawaiian arts, science, culture, and really when we talk about science, this stuff has been around for centuries, right? Really special. What do you like about sharing this with younger kids when they kind of get in here and start to put their hands on things?
Right, so it's continuing our cultural practices, learning our ike kupuna, and really showing off how important and how akamai our people are.
Now, I want to also ask you too, just while you guys are a nonprofit, you're always looking for volunteers to run these exhibits because they don't just stay right here in Kamakana Ali'i, right?
So we're meant to travel. We travel to different communities, so we are always looking for volunteers and community hosts to help with our costs. And so we are really excited to be here at Kamakana Ali'i.
at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day. I want to thank you for your time, showing us around a little bit. This is an absolutely free resource. If your kids are maybe not feeling so inspired during the summer months, bring them right here. This is absolutely free, something you should check out. We have all the details, by the way, if you missed anything, you want to learn more about Kaulele in Peace or the event happening tonight. They also have a Jubilee happening in September to celebrate their 30th anniversary. All that's online. You can find a link at hawaiinewsnow.com. From now, we'll send things back into the studio.
Thank you so much, Casey. And a friendly reminder to our viewers of the afternoon live streams that we have coming up. We do have a 1:30 press conference with Governor Josh Green, and then we also have that update from HECO. That's coming up at 2 o'clock. We will be streaming them live here from the H&N Digital Center on your platforms, your digital media platforms as well. So be sure to tune into those streams for an update.
Aloha, and thank you for watching.